Hello, this is Bethany Daly with Getting It Pegged and KB Looms, bringing you a fun project to work on your knitting looms. This is actually a mitten with cute little hearts on it in contrasting colors. But the fun thing about this mitten is that it is super duper cozy because it has, you can see inside here, a bunch of fluff on the inside. It's just pieces of wool that has made up the hearts on the outside, but on the inside it's left soft and furry, so it's really super duper soft and warm and cozy for those cold winter days and nights. And this process is called thrumming, or making thrums. These little things to the outside of the work that make the loose fibers on the inside, they're called thrums. So I'm going to show you how we are doing that on the loom. Okay, so I am using today the KB Sock Loom 2, and I have worked my 12 rows of 2x2 ribbing, then with 2 rows of just regular knits all the way around, using 32 pegs on the loom. And what we need to do first before we proceed to making our thrums is to actually get the fiber ready to go that we're going to use for our thrums. Now this is the fiber that I'm using for the cute little heart designs and the fluffy insides. And I've just taken the braid apart and I've cut it. It comes in these, it's already been really nice and processed, so it's very smooth and ready to go. You can find wool like this from any number of places. Usually Etsy would be a good place, or even I got this one at a fiber festival. You could probably find it at your local yarn store. So give that a whirl and see what you can find out there available in just wool, or a nice wool blend. And what we're going to do is just cut pieces of this off, and we're going to measure it 6 inches. So see, this has been measured to 6 inches, and then I just cut it right at that spot. And we need about 5 of these, really about 4.5 of these to finish the one mitten. So we're going to need to cut an additional 4 more of these. So I'm going to just cut a couple for you so you can see what I'm doing here. So let's see, right there at the 6-inch mark, and I'm just going to cut straight through. Just like that. Okay, and it's getting into a gray color as the next ones, but since my first mitten doesn't really have any of the grays, I'm going to actually start opening up the other side of this braid, and I'm going to cut from this end. Measure to 6 inches again. Okay, so that's good for now. We're just going to, remember you're going to need about, to cut 5 of those, about 4.5 total. Okay, then when you're making your thrum, what you're going to do is take just a little piece off of it and just pull it out like this. Pull it from the rest of the piece, and you're going to have straggly bits. That's okay. It all blends together super nicely, and you don't want to get too thick of a piece, because what we're going to be doing is actually folding this in thirds A little bit more than thirds actually, because you want it to overlap a little bit. So see what I did there? See how they're overlapping? And then it's going to be squished down like this. And I'm going to give it a twist, just like this. And that part right there is what we're going to make our stitch with. And then this part here is what's going to stick out on the inside of the mitten. And it's fuzzy and whatnot, and that's totally okay, because as you wear the mitten, you're actually will felt. These will begin to felt, and then they will just stay soft and fuzzy. And the felting process will actually make it stay even firmer in place inside your mitten. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm ready to place the first one here. And remember, we gave this a twist. I'm going to twist it again, like this. And then you just wrap it and hold it just like this. I looped it around and I'm holding the two ends to the inside of the loom. And then I'm going to knit that over. Actually, I'm sorry. You also need to use your working yarn at the same time, because we're going to knit both the working yarn and the thrum at the same time. And that also helps it stay a little bit more secure. Okay, so I'm going to get this bottom loop, and it's going to come off all of those loops, the thrum and the working yarn. So that came off to the back of the peg, and now that thrum is in place just like that, and it just stays just like that. Okay, and then for our pattern we knit 2. Now I will say the yarn that I'm using is it's a little thicker than what this loom would normally call for. So everything's just a little bit tight, but that again serves our purpose for placing these thrums. It will hold all of our little stitches in just that much better because it's a snug knit. Okay. And the yarn that I am using to do that with is Bernat Softy Chunky. So it is a number 5 yarn on the Sock Loom too. Oh, okay, so we need to actually knit 3 stitches in between the thrums, and now we're ready to place the next thrum. And what I would do normally is I will alternate. See how when I cut these, they each section has different tones to the colors. So what I would do is alternate between them on the stitches so that you get a variety of stitches all the way around, and it's kind of in a random color pattern. So the next one will grab this color, and I'm just going to take off a piece so it's not too thick and not too thin, and so that actually when it is put together, tripled up on itself and twisted, that it matches. See the width that I'm getting here? It's very similar to the width of my working yarn, and that's the goal that you want to have here. You want them to be very similar in width. Okay, so not too thick and not too thin. Okay, so here I'm on this peg ready to place my thrum. So I just wrap it around the top and hold the 2 ends to the inside of the loom, and then the working yarn goes on top over the thrum, and then the bottom loop gets knit off both of them just like that. Okay, then we knit 3, and we make another thrum. This time I'm going to go with pink. Now you can make a bunch of these thrums ahead of time too, so it's a little faster as you're knitting your row. You can have them pre-made. I just tended to just make it as I was going along, because it's only the thrum rows that you need to do this part. There's a lot of knitting in between. Okay, so twist it. And then hold it over like this. And then the working yarn goes over top of that. And then we knit off that bottom loop over the thrum and the working yarn. Oops. There we go. And then knit 3. Okay, so just continue in this manner. And meet me back here at the end of the row, and I'll show you how to work the next row after the thrum row. Okay, we finished the thrum row, and you can see how they're all just placed around every fourth stitch, and we're ready to move on to the next row. And it's an all knit row, and so what we're going to do is just knit these off 2 over 1, and you're going to first knit the regular yarns loop, so it's more towards the back of the work, and then behind the heart stitch, and then you do the thrum, lift that over. And then if you need to adjust it inside here, if you feel like when you lifted it over you pulled it a little too much, you can pull this back here and tighten it up a little bit. And then you just work your row just like that all the way across. And here we go, we have another thrum. So first the regular, and then our thrum gets knit over. And make sure that, see, one side is shorter than the other. I'm just going to pull that so that they're even. And if when you're all done, you feel like you need to adjust the 2 sides of your little heart that this makes, you can easily do that just by, adjusting the legs of the heart on the outside of the work. Just like this, and then you just finish your row this way. And then there's a couple other rows that you will knit just regular, and then on to your next thrum row. And when you start your next thrum row, you're going to alternate. So see, we started here and went 3 stitches and then another thrum. So on the next thrum row, you're going to start in the center here of these 3 so that it's alternating hearts like this. Okay, and that's how you create the thrums in these thrummed mittens to create a super soft and fluffy and warm inside of your mitten. It is amazingly soft. You just can't even believe how wonderful that is. It feels so good. So that's it for today. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you for our next project at Getting It Pegged and KB Looms. Happy looming to you!